Good morning, everybody. Let's see, it's Marty, the JavaScript party. No Rhett this morning because it is Thursday, so my son's dogs should be here shortly. So all hell is likely to break loose. We don't know. We have two cats, and we're not sure exactly where one of them is at the moment. So they there may be like a big cat dog chasing kind of thing going on. It is currently 24 degrees Fahrenheit out there, so that's like sub-zero Celsius, like I think 32, so almost like one negative one and a quarter, one and a third. Um, we are likely there's a chance we will have snow tomorrow. If that does happen, it will be pretty. We're not really well suited for snow where we are at. We don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of what am I trying to say? Like we don't really have the infrastructure in place. We have like a lot of hills that like neighborhoods that sit in hills because we get a lot of flooding. So we get like neighborhoods and we put them up on hills, and then we have like sort of the main thoroughways with like lots of busy cars at the bottom of these hills, which is not a great thing for snow because we end up like it's very easy like to slide into oncoming traffic, things like that. So basically, I have always, it's just been an absolute nightmare, this situation. It has, like my current job, we don't really ever have this issue. And I think I've been trying to figure out why that never happens at my current job. And I think the reason it never happens at my current job is because we only have one sprint team. Um, and then they do a pretty good job of sort of, um, like we don't like a lot of organizations they're trying to build like a new project, and then when they're trying to build a new project, um I guess I didn't really want to get into this today, but they have this sort of concept of um agile, right? There's agile for software development, but they don't the whole system from end to end isn't agile. It's like waterfall. So waterfall means that like so you think of everything ahead of time, and then you sort of get it all set up and figure out exactly what you want, and then you move it to the next part. And then so at that phase when they're trying to figure out exactly what they want everyone to build next, they're waterfall, right? They want a complete idea of everything that they want at that point. And then they put the software development teams into agile mode, and the agile, you're just trying to do little small parts and make sure that they all work before you move forward. And then at QA, they want to go to waterfall again. A lot of people call that wagile fall. Well, what happens is they will, the BAs, the people at the front half of all of this will kind of come up with like a feature that they want to focus on, and then they will figure out every piece of that feature, and then they'll dole out the work of that fully completed feature to the developers, and the developers will start doing little pieces of it. And typically they want everything delivered like in a 2 week increments. They call them sprints, right? So in 2 week increment, they do it, and then they have everybody sort of fold all their code in together, and you get this all the time, this circular dependency um, error. And it's just like up until yesterday, I didn't know exactly why, and I think what we've seen is why, but maybe not always why. At least one reason why, and that's because and I wasn't aware of this, but you can't inject. It's weird. It's a multiple thing. Okay, so service one injects service two. No, export class. Yeah, service one injects service two. Right. This is service one. I'm gonna close others. So it is a bit confusing. So service one injects service two injects service one, and then in my app, I inject both of them. And when that happens, we end up with this error. presents itself that we have this injector. Now, I don't think there's any reason why this should be like, there's no, like it from a practical perspective, it would be nice if you could inject things. I guess that's the best way to put that. It would be really nice to be able to inject both things because a lot of times service one and service two may have things that the other needs. And it actually blows my mind. Okay, so you can do this. Oh no, you can't even do that. Okay, I thought that you could. So if you inject either of them at this point, it breaks. You get this circular inj injector. And if we look at the error, I guess it does give us a little bit of insight because basically, so this just creates an error. So it's probably nothing valuable there. And then this creates a cyclic dependency error. So this is going to create a generic error. And then this one's going to create a cyclic and dependency error. But it's when this R3 injector hydrate happens. So um, when it tries to hydrate it, so hydrate means populate. When it tries to do that, like it must get some sort of feedback loop or something that, like an infinite loop that causes everything to break. That's just a guess. So, anyways, I think what we've come up with is like I had like an idea that, oh, I think it might be this, but I can't be sure because there's a lot of moving parts. So in my main application that I'm working, because I'm on a severe detour right now, and on my main application that I'm working on, I've started running into this problem. And my guess was that you can't inject two two things in injectables into each other. Now, to me, it is a bit bizarre that it hasn't broken at this point because, but maybe the injector. Let's see. Let's do this. This leads us to a pretty interesting constructor console.log. So basically, I want to see if this even gets service. And so let's just see if we ever get the console. See, so like, yeah, so it never even gets created because it's never implemented anywhere, which I think is a pretty good idea. So now if I do this, just prove to myself that what I think is the truth is in fact the truth. Yeah, see, now we have service one lives, but then if I go and I bring this guy back in, so I'm in, oh no, wrong one. So if I go back over here and I bring in this guy, so this is good general or good general understanding. And when you want to have a general understanding, let's see, it's 8:40, so I still have some time. When you want to have a general understanding, this is a pretty good way to go. Um, so, um, but but now I have like specific issues I'm trying to figure out. And my specific issue is pretty complex. It's about ThreeJS, and I have meshes, and I have a mesh service, I have an animation service, and then meshes are inside of renderers, and I have a renderer service. And the animation service needs a reference to the mesh service, and the mesh service needs a reference to the animation service. So that's why everything is breaking. But so normally, like I feel like you can just be pretty sloppy. I never really considered it sloppy, but now in light of this new understanding, it appears sloppy. Um, Normally, I feel like you can just sloppily just inject services wherever you feel like injecting them, and then get the yummy goodness of each service. But now I think what I need, if this had failed, I would probably just roll back into the regular regular application, the ThreeJS application, and start back just trying to figure out how to work around it. But since this did work, it's like, okay, well, it's probably going to be valuable to try to generate a more, try to figure out the best way for me in my mind to fix this issue. Um, and this is a lot of times, like a lot of times, if you go get training, like if you go to a course or something like that, at this point, like if they like the presenter or the teacher won't even really understand this situation, but they'll actually teach you the solution. They'll be like, oh, okay, so you can't do this, blah 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 blah. These are things you can do. They've never actually done any issues, so they can't really truly understand it, but they can convey the information like in training. So like if I ever got some formal Angular training, I would probably be on the lookout to understand this specific thing. Um, but what the example I've been giving that I think is a little bit easier to deal with mentally is to get more specific is what if I have a house, an instance of a house? There's a house, there's a single house, it's my house, and I have a car, and that's a different service. There's a car object, and the car knows how to start, and the house knows how to open the garage door. And I get to the situation where I'm like, oh, I would like to open the garage door from the car. Well, I need an instance of the house. Oh, I would like to be able to start the car from the house. Well, now the house needs an instance of the car, and we're going to have this cyclic issue. So let's go ahead and go down that and then see if we can find a good way to deal with that. And I honestly don't know. Like I am on virgin territory here. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to commit it into this. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to go into this cyclic thing and just delete it. So these commits and all that don't even matter. I'm just doing it so that the next set of work is a little bit easier to see. So git commit dash m um, finished with generic observations. And we want to add everything and then commit it. All right, so now nothing is green and stuff. So I want to go into my package and I'm going to create a house, a house service and a car service. So I'm just going to copy both of these. I guess I should copy from here. House, NGS, car. House, car. All right. And so what we should do is we should have some more stuff like up here on the app. Probably if we go any farther, which I don't right now, I can't conceive of going any farther than this. We really would need to put this into its own folder just so it would be less confusing. But I think it's not too bad yet. Maybe these specs. I guess these specs are a bit of a distraction. Let's see if we can delete these. Not the SCSS spec. Delete. They're just like noise right now, so I don't think we want them. But I don't know, like if we might end up, I've never tried this before, so we might end up with some weird compile issue or something like that. Who knows? Transpile issue. I don't think so. Okay. So now if we look in here, we see that we have our changes. So these three, I want to commit this. So let's just, so that we can get this out of this noise off of us. And we're going to remove spec files. And so now they're gone and they're in history. They're actually sitting in my recycle bin. I'll end up deleting that here in a second. Um, but okay, so now we want to run our thing. So we're going to get 4 new files, and then I'm going to immediately delete the spec files. npm run ngs house. So ng server house, and that's going to execute this function. Only takes it a second usually. Usually pretty quick. Maybe not this time. Now I honestly I don't I'm fairly there's some really good stuff in Agile, and I would say the number one good thing that is like if you've never experienced not having a daily stand up, you would appreciate it. Because like when I used to work at Boeing back in like 1996 and 1997, um, you could be blocked for 6, 8 months before anyone who had the authority to unblock you would even be aware that you were unblocked, that you weren't blocked. So you could come in, literally stare at your hand all day long, scream at the top of your lungs, scream at the top of your lungs, and still not be able to, and never get like literally all someone has to do is give you access to some drive or something, and you can't get access to the drive, so you can't do any of your work, and you've been sitting for 6 months. Like that is no joke, a very common scenario before daily stand-ups. Um, so it's really been nice to get daily stand-ups. I guess like kind of the way a lot of young people that I'm around sort of act is like they would be okay, so that's cool. All right, so we have our car and a house. They would be happy about that. You know, it'd be like, oh yay, I don't have to do any work for 6 months. But the problem is that you really need to learn stuff, and if you don't learn stuff, and back then you didn't really have the internet to learn stuff from, so you know, if you didn't learn it at work, you weren't going to learn it. Okay, so a car. So let's just go right back. Um, we want to inject our house, and in our house we want to inject our car, right? So we need our inject function, and then we want to say car car equals inject car, and then we know that I'm sorry, house. That was weird. I wonder. Yeah, I bet you that would have caused the same issue too. House inject house. So we're injecting our house service um, into our car service, and now we're going to do the same thing in our house. We're going to inject the car service into the house. So right now, really, all we're doing is just validating, just like further validation. I'm like 99.9% sure that what I think, how I think this works, is how it works. And so the idea is that the car needs to do some stuff in the house, and the house needs to do some stuff in the car. It needs to be able to tell the car needs to be able to tell the house some things to do, and the house needs to. And so, and we've learned is that if we want um, inject and then car. All right, and this should break. Yep, it breaks just like we thought. All right, so but the problem is that we really don't. I guess the car singleton. So there's a single car object that's sitting in the ejector. And I'm really honestly thinking out loud right now. See this causes circular dependency. And then do the same thing. And so I think what we need is to have, so this is a house. So let's say we want to be able to open the garage door. So the garage door, I guess, is a specific thing in the house, right? So I'm just going to create a garage door. And just for the sake of things, um, it's got a variable in it called opened. And I guess is it open two ends or one end? I think it's one end. One N. Okay. Um, and then a car has a, let's see, like a electronic system. Elec. And it is started. False. Okay. So I think the very next thing I would typically do at this point would be to create a function, right? Start car. And then be like this dot started, this dot electronic system dot started equals true. And then stop car. And stop is probably the wrong thing, because that is probably more like in the braking, right? So car started is equal to false, right? So all this does is turn the car on and off. But the problem is I can't get, if I want, okay, so let's go to the house. And we're going to say open garage door. And then this dot garage door dot opened is equal to true. Then close garage door. So most of our a lot of houses here in the United States, and I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, because I just don't know. Um, but we have like these things called garages where a lot of people keep their um, car inside the house, but it's like a garage, so it's kind of separated from the rest of that. It's like in the house, but it's like it's really built out just for to keep cars and to be able to work on your car and stuff like that. It is kind of a weird thing here in the States because most people that can afford a house with a garage never work on their cars, and most people who work on their cars can't afford a house with a garage. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, so now I have these two functions, right? And so you would think like if I want to inside the house. Like if one day I was like in my house, I want to start my car, right? Like I wake up in the morning and I say, you know what? I want to start my car. I want to open the garage door and start my car. I want to push a button that opens my garage door and starts my car so my car's nice and warm when I go down there. Well, I can't get a, if I do this, I'm going to get the cyclic circular dependency. So I can't get to the car. I can't, from here, I can't get to it. So if I want a function that knows how to get that knows how to start the car. But the other thing is that it's very rare, I guess. So this is a little simpler than a lot of things because it's in general when I'm writing the code for ThreeJS, I have more than one car and more than one house. So I need to know which car. So I need something that can get me the correct car, and I want everything to be exportable and importable. So that means I don't want to have actual references to the car on objects. So that is, I want to have like an ID so that I can export it. But if I have the ID, I have to have something that's going to get it for me. So I think, I don't know, my first guess, my first instinct is that I need to create a class next that has this just generic and that accepts a house like this, and that it updates the house that's passed in, right? So like something has to know what the right house is. So, and see, this would work if I pull this into its own class, but it doesn't work if there's more than one house. But the baby steps, I guess we need to prove that this concept will work if I pull it into its own class. Anyways, I got to start work in 1 minute. So happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. If you're here in the States, try to stay warm. Bye.